you might have seen him screaming outside of one of Trump's many properties, but mostly in Manhattan outside of Trump Tower. Um, he was kind of like Screamy Guy. And then you were like, no, Screamy Guy's funny as hell. Screamy Guy good. Screamy Guy travel. Screamy Guy do lots of stuff. He's an actor, a comedian, and he's got a show called We Are Not Journalists, and it's out on Apple and Spotify right now. Please welcome Walter Masterson.
How you doing? Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Thank you for making the time. I know from sort of experience that I feel like you probably do everything yourself and work your tail off and do not sleep.
Yeah. Have you been reading my diary? Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I've seen your
My
vision
day,
board.
yeah, my vision board is just, me, looking at my phone, and then trying to edit, and having a backlog, creator stuff, fun
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then being like, oh no, I forgot to add subtitles and people don't listen, they read, kill me. Oh no, I didn't add, like I forgot to upload this as a post on Instagram instead of instead of a reel or vice versa. The
Yeah.
algorithm is kind of a bitch, isn't it? But
Yeah.
Walter, I'm like so curious about you. Like this is a comedy show in theory. I mean, people can weigh
I
in.
know. Let's be funny. Let's
Where's the
talk about
lulz?
Palestine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's go. But you actually managed to do that, and you do that by kind of bird dogging Trump supporters and others, and most recently Zionists, to give people like a
Well,
sense.
listen. I don't like to use the word Zionists. I call them genocide deniers, apartheid enthusiasts.
Mm,
I just
it's much safer.
yeah. It's so I just try to it's the word Zionist just gets some people use that language. It's like I said from the river to the sea until Netanyahu said that. Someone sent me a clip of Netanyahu saying that, and I was like, "That's it. I'm out. Okay, okay. I'm never gonna say that again." That was really all it took.
Was just Netanyahu saying it.
Yeah,
Um,
I was like, okay, great.
no, well, look, I think your delivery is such that I'm like, I can't tell if you're being serious or not, but I hear you on the Zionism thing. I do think apartheid enthusiast is maybe more descriptive and accurate. But I want to just play this little clip of the kinds of things that you've done and the kinds of ways that you sort of bird dog the powerful. And that specifically, and then I want to sort of ask you about like your method and your process and things. But here you
Oh
are
my
at
god! Oh my god! Yeah.
well, yeah, let's get into it. Like, yeah,
Oh my
but
god! Yeah.
how you yes and the Jan Sixers screaming in your face and giving you COVID. But here you are. This is, I think, at Washington Square Park. There is a apartheid enthusiast rally, and you just very calmly are wearing a
Stormtrooper.
stormtrooper. I was like, who? A stormtrooper mask, and you have a sign that says, "What is the Empire?"
The
Was
Empire did nothing wrong.
The Empire did nothing wrong. Let's see if everyone can sort of grasp the metaphor here.
I'm in Washington Square Park, and why don't you talk about Star Wars? The Empire did nothing wrong! Alderaan was being used as a base to house the Rebel Alliance. That is why Darth Vader had to destroy it. The Mandalorian uses Baby Yoda as a human shield. The Empire got the Hutts to start paying taxes.
1948, 5 Arab countries attacked Israel. They lost in a war.
What does that have to do with Star Wars? Senator Palpatine had to disband the Senate. I mean, it was just filled with secret Rebel Alliance people. No one wants to talk about the atrocities that Saw Gerrera committed. The Empire cared more about Baby Yoda than the Mandalorian.
Who's young?
Okay, I'm just gonna stop there. I apologize if it's a little bit low for folks. But this is fucking amazing. This is hilarious. And I am only like cursorily a Star Wars fan. But it basically like the origin story of it like Han, right? Is that they or not Han, sorry, Skywalker, is that they basically like the Empire blows up an entire planet because
They blew
rebels
up
were using
Alderaan.
They blew
Yeah,
up. They blew up Alderaan, which is what you said.
Yeah, and listen, the Rebel Alliance population on Alderaan after it was blown up dropped to 0. I mean, Alderaan should
Anyone
be
who says
thanking the Galactic Empire for getting rid of all these rebels. Really,
it is so apt, and like what's crazy when you have something like Star Wars, like The Mandalorian uses Baby Yoda as a human shield, where it's so clear who's good and who's bad. It's like when I feel like when I went to see Lord of the Rings in the middle of the Bush administration, and I was like, do people understand that we are the bad guy? Like the metaphor here is like we're like the United States is bad and like all power and having.
I just went. I dressed up as Prince Zuko from the Fire Nation, from Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I went to the Detroit Turning Point Trump rally, and like there were people, so many MAGA there were very familiar with Avatar: The Last Airbender, and totally did not get how MAGA was the Fire Nation at all. Like it just didn't click, and they were like, oh my, they recognized me, they wanted to take pictures, and it just did not register. And I was like, wow.
It's not registering with me because I don't watch it. I've never seen it. I was like, I just saw The Way of the Water, but no, different Avatar. But yeah, man, it's really fucking hilarious. Like it was really good stuff. And you've done a lot of this. I mean, you've been trolling like, Moms for Liberty in the form of going to like, well, it's actually just set this clip up for us. If we have this, this is the book ban clip. Are you in a city council or is this the like school board meeting?
Oh, it's a school board meeting. It's a school board in Pennsylvania, Bucks County. That was a huge. Oh, I've never in my life actually, been biting my nails over a school board election. There's never been high stakes. This Central Bucks County had a very evil school board. And just for the record, I know about these things because parents contact me and say, come to this school board and trash these people.
Really?
And you've got to imagine.
So you literally have like a call system. You're like the fucking babysitters club for like, social justice. And people call you and they're like, you really got to troll this thing.
And you have to imagine how bad things are in your school district. If you as a parent are like, see a guy on TikTok and you're like, I want him to come and just make a bigger mockery than it already is.
Yeah.
Like that's what they do. So I'm getting invited by the parents or the students, and I'll go. And for this one, I went and I talked about this book that was pornographic that needed to be banned, and then I read the Bible.
Here we go.
And then
I brought with me today a book that is available to children of all ages in the school's library. This book is filled with overt sexual acts, violence. It celebrates mass killings, and it's being used to indoctrinate our children. I'm going to read you some passages from this book, and you tell me whether or not this book is appropriate for your children. The Lord tried to kill Moses, but Zipporah used a sharpened stone and cut off their son's foreskin and rubbed the bloody ring on Moses' feet, saying, "You are now my bridegroom." This made the Lord leave Moses alone. Now, do you think a child should be reading this book full of sexual violence and genocide? Books don't belong here at all. Ban this book, and let's focus on science, math, and raising administrators' pay. Thank you.
Walter, how did you start doing this? And why do you keep doing it when you've literally stared into the backwash of this brainwashed country?
Oh God, I just got back from a mental health break. I just I was like, I need a few weeks. I don't want to do anything. I have like nothing left. Some people take vacations. I was like, I need a mental health break.
Yes.
So like I'm leaving the country. No, this started during the pandemic. My villain origin story was being next to, the modular morgue set up during COVID, where there's bodies and then being told that all of that's fake. And I'm going, right, the dead people right here, or that's not real. Okay. And then the George Floyd protest happened. And I've been through the legal system, as a white person. So I'm like, yeah, no, Like I was sort of like that, like, so that rankled me. And then I was like, I need to go and troll these people in person. That was the,
What were
that
you
was the
doing?
thing.
What were you doing before this? Were
So
you
I'm an
like,
actor,
you're an actor. Yeah.
comedian in New York. And then after that, during COVID, there was literally nothing to do. So I'm just like, all right, I'm so upset at this group of people. So I was like, let me just, like there's certain things you and I both know that like, this is not true. Like when someone says, we don't, we're fine with immigration. We just want legal immigration. We
Oh,
both
fun.
know that if the next question is, or do we want to expand legal immigration? The answer is absolutely not. So I was like, let me just ask that question, right? Like those basic follow-up questions.
Yes.
People started like confusing me with a journalist because I would ask questions that journalists don't ask. Because I'm
Right.
like, I know that this is nonsense, right?
Well,
Like,
they're also not really in the trenches. I mean, I think that I think some outlets take MAGA seriously and these like, but I think a lot of them are very eager to actually airbrush some of the ugliness and pretend like this is some sort of legitimate working class movement when it's everything but.
Or they
And
minimize it, and it's just it's just 100 white supremacists in a cornfield, and that's it. That's the only race
right.
problem we have in America. That's it. It's just 100 of them somewhere, in some cornfield. That's it.
Who
Come
would you
on, nothing
say
is.
is like I was gonna actually ask you like to do like a fuck Mary kill with like Trump supporters, but I decided maybe to spare you. But you have seen so many different archetypes of the MAGA stan, like the cult. Who would you say is maybe your like the scariest version? Is it like the QAnon mom? Is it like the guy who has like an arsenal maybe like around the corner in his van? Is it like maybe like the blacks for Trump or like the Latinos for Trump who are like somehow ride extra hard and are crazy, like, or is the anti-vax, like what's like the archetype that when you're like, oh god, like you walk up to him and you're about to ask him a question and it's just there's something in you that like wants to die.
Oh, yeah. There's like there's like the ones. Yeah, those are the ones that make it easy for you, where they are like full of just venom. There's a lot of people that I interview and I'm like, this isn't a fun experience. I can't really use this. You are a nice person. You're just an idiot. And like,
You're so wounded.
like you're here with your church group. You don't even know why you're here. And just, and then there's ones who like, they know what it is they're doing. They're very aware.
Yeah.
Like I remember that video before Central Bucks County, that school board there was, in my opinion, very evil, because the people that showed up, the Moms for Liberty people that showed up, were useful idiots. That board, all very educated, graduate degrees and such, and they were very methodical in how they implemented this, and took over this board. So they knew exactly how to sell it to the public, and they sanitized their language. You couldn't get them to say any type of slur or any soundbite. They presented very well, and those are the ones that I'm like, this is the worst.
Yeah.
It's like they know how to implement. Yeah, they're never going to drop the N-word or say something out of pocket about trans or something like that.
Right. They just
Yeah.
want to like ban learning about slavery in schools and then slowly privatize the education system.
Well, they don't want to ban learning about it, but what we need to know is that everyone was doing slavery. I mean, all cultures at one point had slavery.
Yes.
I mean, it's not like the transatlantic slave trade was just a new, like the biggest scope of things, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like
I
for
felt
those
that.
people, like a Dennis Prager, who like
Yes.
he can sanitize it, what he's saying, and he's in a lot of times he's not really committing to one thing,
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
people like,
My last question before we get into because I'm not even allowing you to bitch about anything. You're just on my time because I'm fascinated and excited, and I'm so excited for your work. But I have a theory about being able to interview Trumpers, and I think you have to be like at least a 6 foot tall white guy. That then like kind of period, end of story. You have to wear a suit or at least a shirt. You have to wear like a button up shirt, although you don't always do that. But like, I guess I'm just wondering, like, how does your identity help you among this crowd? Because I feel personally very scared when I'm among the crowd, unless I were to deliberately dress up, you know, like a right-wing host, you know, whatever,
Well, yeah, no, if you dress
heels,
up
breasts,
and
and dye my hair blonde.
I mean, yeah, they do. It's like they want. I keep telling like people, you know, like BIPOC creators and stuff. I was like, listen, you can go if you put on a MAGA hat. You know, they see you
Yeah.
and they go, oh my God, like it's
Yeah.
great that you're here.
It's a
proof
brown,
that
yeah.
we're not racist.
Yes.
Like your presence here, our proximity, because that's how proximity works. If there's a black person 5 feet from me, how could I be racist? Right? I mean, how
that
you
is
just
how racism works.
yeah, there's 5 black people that came to this MAGA rally. You know, how I mean, why are they here? If everything's just so racist. I mean, come on. So they're like, yay, you know, and they're able to, you know,
So as long as they
do
toe
that
the
there.
line, but it's still frightening. I guess the question I have is, now are you being recognized?
Oh God, it's like happens. So this is what happens. I'll go into like a CPAC or something, and 5, 10, 15 people will walk by me, all of which I have made famous previously. And then they see me and then they, you know, they may or may not spot me and then they'll be like, oh, you. Okay. And then they try to get me tossed or something like that.
I see. So they're like, you put me on blast last time.
Yeah, I clowned you and yeah, so on and so forth.
Well,
It happens a lot. So
well, you're doing the work of that dirty man who wrote that disgusting, filthy book, in my opinion.
The flying spaghetti monster. The flying
guy who
spaghetti
wrote
monster work. That dirty man in the sky who wrote
the dirty man in the sky who wrote that, like nasty pornography filled
with all the
foreskin.
incest and
Yeah.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.